So today we are talking about, can the Devils realistically win a Stanley Cup with a young team one day? I did this with the Ottawa Senators yesterday. Today we are talking about the Devils. Kind of like a series, but not really like a series. I'm not going to make my own playlist on this. I'm just going to add it to each team. We're doing teams that are kind of in the rebuild, but going to make the um, want to be a contending team in the future. Here's another team. Ottawa yesterday, today the Devils. Tomorrow might be another team, for sure. Maybe it's the Kings, maybe it's another team. Many teams to go through. So, let you know, before we get into it, the black means they're on the roster right now, and they're kind of guaranteed to be there. On the other hand, the red right now are prospects who might not have a contract, or they're in the AHL trying to battle for NHL spot one day, a prospect or whatever. So let's get into it. These are not lineups, official lineups. Don't be like, why is this guy playing this guy? That just makes sense. What are you doing? No, it's just looking at the centers, the wingers, the defensemen, all that stuff. Who's on the left, who's on the right, who's at center, doesn't matter. But the lineup. So let's get into it. We have Gusev, who's a UFA in another year. We have Hischiel's a UFA in 7 years as your young center. And you also have Palmieri, who's a UFA in a year. We're kind of looking at this. How will this team be a Stanley Cup winning team like they did back in the Brodeur days with, winning Stanley Cups and all that? How can they get back to that time? Be that winning contender and winning a Stanley Cup. How? Well, a few suggestions here. Who's long term? Who's short term? Who's this? Who's that? Let's get into that right now. Like we said, Gusev is UFA in 1 year. Hischiel has signed a massive $7 million contract. He's locked up for 7 years. After that 7 years, he'll be a UFA, so he's supposed to be there for a while. You also have Kyle Palmieri, who's a UFA in a year. So they have a decision. Do they want to keep him? If they're not going to keep him and they can't get to terms, the best thing to do is trade him, get prospects, get some picks back. It's always the best thing to do. Maybe get a young player back. Maybe not a prospect, maybe not a pick, a high pick. Maybe get a young player back that could help you long term now. Just put it out there. We also have Andreas Johansen, who's a UFA in 3 years, so he'll be there. With Jack Hughes, who's an RFA in 2 years, selected last year, 2019 draft, first overall. Didn't have the best rookie year whatsoever. Expect to bounce back and have a solid career. So there you go. Those are your top 2 centers. For winning a Stanley Cup, you need some good centers. And I fully expect that Hischiel and Hughes can be those top 2 centers, working it out together. That would be what they need. Bratt, right now, yes, well, Bratt is an RFA. They have not come to terms with a contract just yet, but he's an RFA. He needs to be signed soon. Maybe we see it this month, in the next couple of days, maybe even today. Who knows? But Bratt is a UFA, RFA right now, and he needs a contract. So he plays pretty good. He's pretty solid, young player, and I can't wait to see what he brings next year. So he is a big part of maybe winning the Stanley Cup one day for sure. You have Miles Wood, who's an RFA in 2 years. You have Sajak with a $5.75 million contract, 1 more year. So if you want to get rid of that, no pressure, Devils, because you have the cap. Just like the Ottawa Senators, do not worry about the cap. You don't need to worry about it. Yes, budget, make sure you do a good job with that, but you still have tons of cap left for sure. So Sajak in the next year, maybe you sign for a cheaper contract. Maybe you sign for a year or 2 more on a cheaper scale, because he's not going to get 5.75 for his next contract. So you want to keep him, you can for cheaper. If you don't, get rid of that 5.75 million. Use it somewhere else, maybe beneficial. You also have Nick Merkley, who was traded from Arizona to the Devils for Taylor Hall and, of course, Kevin Bale, a first-round pick, all that stuff. Yes, that's in there too. So, almost forgot someone. Let me write him down. I want to write these guys down. Forgot about it. I don't know how I did, but we'll get to that in a second. Nick Merkley, is he going to become that guy? I know in 2015 he was a late first round pick. I don't know. He might become something. He just, he's kind of bust, or maybe make the NHL and be a bottom six player. Maybe at the most top six. We still don't know much about him still. He's about 23. He needs a contract. Maybe he gets a chance with the Devils. Who knows? We'll see about that. Now, McLeod is actually a RFA in a year, so he needs a contract next year. He's a pretty solid prospect. Pavel Zacha, he's an RFA in 2 years. Could he be a third-line center and replace what Sajak would do? Yeah, why not? For Stanley Cup, okay. Looking at what they have right now and kind of looking, can they win the Stanley Cup with that core one day? Could be a vision having Hughes, and having Zacha as your top 3 centers. That could be a possibility. That fourth line center spot, that changes. That's just going to change. That's just how it works. Fourth line changes maybe year by year, every other year. It does change. So, that's how it goes. So, maybe Zacha can be a third line center one day. He didn't pan out as they wanted him to be. Because 2015 was a lot of great. That was one of the best drafts. And they kind of missed. But he's okay, but, maybe he can be that third line center for them. Just the Devils are hoping maybe he can be that guy for them on that third line. Now, we also have Holtz. They just drafted. Yes, this season they did draft Alexander Holtz. He's the best goal scorer in the 2020 draft. 2019, the best goal scorer was Cole Caulfield. 2020 draft, Alexander Holtz. We've talked about him the last 3-4 years. And he's the best goal scorer in the draft. Maybe they sign him for an entry-level contract. Maybe not. Maybe they give him another year. But if they do, man, this guy's going to be a goal scorer, pure sniper. On that ring, he can be that guy. And he can be part of your Stanley Cup run of that core. You have Hughes, you have Holtz is going to be part of that core. Maybe even Dawson Mercer will be part of that core. There you go. Nolan Foote, they picked up from Tampa for sending Blake Coleman to the Lightning, who won the Stanley Cup this year. Congratulations to him. And the Devils got back Nolan Foote and a first-round pick. Now Nolan Foote can be a solid player for them on that left side. He might be a contributor. How about Bachridge, too? He's another guy. Jesper Bachridge. He's a guy who's an RFA. He could be something. Dawson Mercer, they did pick him up. Yes, they did, from the Coyotes. That's the Taylor Hall first-round pick they got back the other way for him. He could be a guy for them. He's a goal scorer, too. Just like Holtz, not as much of a goal scorer as like Holtz is, but he can still be that guy. Maybe Dawson Mercer can be that guy for them. 2 right wingers. Can we see those guys in the top 6 as winning a Stanley Cup one day with the core? Yes, we can. Holtz and Mercer, I can see as our top 6. If they can sign Palmieri, maybe he'll be in the top 6, bottom 6. By the time they win it, maybe he'll be like the third line. He'll be in the top 9. I like that. So there you go. That's what we're seeing. Little review of what the forwards will be like. I know it's a lot. I threw out everyone. But top 2 centers, top 3, we're hoping for Hughes, and Zacha. Now, Sajak, you want him as a 4th line center? Sign him cheaper, maybe for a year or 2, maybe 2-year deal at $2 million or less on the 4th line. No problem. That's what we'd do. That would be perfect. Miles Wood, we didn't really talk about him. He's a really solid young guy. He can be part of your team too. He's still learning. So, some question marks we do have is Nick Merkley, McLeod, Zacha too. Is he gonna be that guy? Wasn't planned as they hoped him to be, but maybe something can be better with him. We'll see about that. Okay, we have that. Perfect. That kind of wraps up that forward group. What we have for sure. And Gusev, do you sign him? Do you keep him around? That's another question. Alright, let's look on the defense seal. We have Ryan Murray, who they picked up for a 5th round pick. That's really, really solid to pick him up for a fifth-round pick. Adding to that left side, which they kind of needed that defense. Boom, there you go. Congratulations, Ryan Murray, you get a top 4 role with potentially PK Subban, who he is a UFA in 2 years. So, those guys, $9 million can go off the books in 2 years, so you have about $4 or $5 million off the books in another year. Butcher, he's a UFA in 2 years. Severson's a UFA in 3 years. Ty Smith is that young prospect on the blue line you need. He might play next year. He might crack the opening day lineup. He might be there. You also have, I don't know how to say it, sort of, Chuck or whatever. He's RFA in 3 years. Maybe he makes the opening day lineup. Maybe he gets some time in the Devils organization. Riley Walsh, he's a RFA in 3 years. He hasn't made the opening day lineup. Maybe he'll get some time with the Devils this year. Kevin Bale also was traded to the Coyotes for Taylor Hall. He's RFA in 3 years. He might be a guy. And you also have Ryan, not Colin Wright, because Colin Wright is the Ottawa Senator. I'm blanking right now. Oh, by the way, Mike Grizzly just signed his contract. If anyone needs to know. Colin Wright, yes. It's just spelled wrong. Not spelled wrong. Different from Colin Wright that is in the Ottawa Senators. So, there you go. You have some uncertainty with the defense right now. If long-term, because PK Subban, Severson's like your long-term option right now with 3 years on the blue line. So, right now it's kind of uncertain, but you do have some great young defensemen. Could Ty Smith be that guy? Could Oyelchuk, Howard Walsh, can Bale? They could still add a defenseman here on the blue line, or even add maybe a free agent, a pretty solid free agent next year, the years to come. Add him there. Maybe even on that forward group, maybe on that left side, you bring a guy. Man, they could have probably should have kept. Well, maybe if Taylor Hall wanted to stay, maybe you could fit him in there. It would have been great. But you don't. So you gotta work around that. So they could use him on the left side. Even though Andreas Johansen, you have Miles Wood, he could step up again. No one foot. That has a possibility. Let's look at the goaltending now. We have this. We have Blackwood, who's an RFA. They have to sign him right now. He is looking pretty solid. He's a good, solid goaltender. Watch out for him. He's going to be great of a goaltender. He's been pretty solid. Last year, he had some good, solid numbers, of course. Corey Schneider was bought out from a $6 million contract, so they brought in Corey Crawford. Yes, another Corey. A different Corey. With him, he got a $3.9 million contract for 2 years, so he can have a good goalie duo. That's pretty good, that goalie duo. You might be like, it's kind of expensive, $3.9 for Crawford. Well, they have enough cap for the next good 2 years to hold up Crawford, so I'm not worried about it. Devils fans shouldn't be worried about it. NHL fans from other teams should not be worried about it. That's a great signing. I do feel like it is. So, looking at this, if they run a Stanley Cup with this young core, I believe that Holtz and Mercer will be in that top 6. On the left side, maybe they get a big UFA in free agency. That would help. Down the middle, I feel like they're set. Hopefully, Zaka can be that third line center for them. Well, hopefully, Hughes keeps progressing. I can see him as the next future captain. Hughes should be the next future captain. He has the longest term. He would be that guy. Anyone else to think of? Not really, unless you want to say Jack Hughes. Not really, I wouldn't say that. Let's just say Kyle Palmieri, but he needs to be long-term. They have to actually make him a captain. Because you're not just going to keep him for a year and be like, all right, bye. We need a new captain now. It just obviously is going to be Nico Hischier. I just feel like it's going to be Nico Hischier. I just want to make Hughes, but he's too young still. But he should be that guy for them. So, on the blue line, it still needs help. Like I said, maybe they bring in a big UFA. They have the money right now. Maybe they can bring the next couple of years, kind of fit him in. Maybe Subban, after that 2 years, that $9 million goes by off the books, that $9 million. They can go bring in a big UFA on that blue line. And maybe he can be better than PK Subban. Maybe if PK Subban was back in his prime, maybe Subban can be a better player next year. and kind of bounce back if Dill's maybe not bounce back to his prime like he did with Montreal, kind of with the Predators, but bounce back, sort of. Maybe he can be better. And having a better team and what the moves Tom Fitzgerald has done, it's pretty solid. So there's some great prospects. They did a good job out of this draft, I have to say. And they did a good job out of this free agency too, adding Johansen. Adding him was a big part for sure. And adding Corey Crawford to help out the goaltending with Mackenzie Blackwood. Why not? And they still have some cap, so they can still sign. There's some good notable free agents out there, and they're still out there. Right now they have about $18 million in cap. Maybe Blackwood takes about $5 million, so that's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, $13 million. Maybe you bring in you still have some guys out here. Like maybe you bring in on the blue line. Maybe you bring back Sami Vatanen. That could be a possibility. Why not? Maybe even bring in Galchenyuk and you add him to that left side and say, we're going to give you another chance. Cheap option, but it could be something. How about Mikael Granlund? Adding to that right side, that could be a possibility. Or center spot. That could work too. Anthony Ciu, adding him to that center spot, adding him to that top 6 might be a possibility too. So, doing that on the top 4, you can add, you do have some things here. So let's see. Maybe add DeClaire to the lineup. Maybe you add Corey Perry, some veteran talent for this year. Madison Bowney, add him to the blue line. That could help too. Adding Ryan Murphy was a big part of it, wasn't it? Maybe you add Connor Sheary on the right side, Travis Hamnick down the middle. He wants to go to the Western team, so I regret that, saying that. But maybe Andy Green comes back. No, I don't think so. So those are some guys to put out there. Maybe Vatanen does come back for a little bit more money. So we'll see. That's what it looks like. I think this team could do it in another 4 to 6 years. Just kind of like Otto Snooze. Time is open around the same time as Senators. 4 to 6 years, this team can do it, alright? Thanks for watching. Like the video. Didn't bell count and share. And they definitely have the goaltending and Blackwood for them. Good top 6, top 9. I have to say the defense needs to be worked on, but I think they can get that stellar one day. Alright, have a nice day. NHL Sports. Watch out, I have 400 subs. I'll see you next video. Bye.